And in that moment, I knew that I had a choice. I could either be bitter or I could get better. And I chose to get better, and I chose to rise. And for me, the flames of a phoenix, they're not there to burn you. They're there to burn away everything that you're not.
Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Kristen Donnelly of the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. At Abbey Research, we deeply believe that relationships and stories are how we change our minds, our worldviews, expand how we see the world. While people may change their immediate behaviors through shaming or statistics, we change who we are through stories and relationships. And this series is in service of that idea, powered by curiosity and deeply driven by our need to create inclusivity. Welcome to My World is a series where we talk to fascinating folks from all over the world who are different than me, which is literally everybody, about something in their lives that we should know more about to make our experience of humanity richer. After all, none of us actually know how to be human. We're all figuring it out as we go along. And so let's figure it out together. And today's guest is no exception to that rule of thumb. I am joined today by Julie Paulston from Divine Phoenix Rising. She's a transformational life coach who brings humor, passion, and compassion into her journey to help women rise from the ashes of their lives to discover their divine inner phoenix. Trust me, we're going to ask about it. Don't worry. Having over 30 years in recovery, she brings multiple personal experiences and strategies to rediscover who you were before the world told you who you should be. Damn. She's got her own podcast called Be the Phoenix of Your Own Life. Proud mom of 3 grown children and 3 grandchildren. She lives in Pensacola and she loves chasing the sunrise all over the Gulf. I love that sunrises are so holy. My favorites just happen to be on the Atlantic side of the water, but we'll take it. Julie, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, Kristen, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this. I was like, is it 10 o'clock yet? Is it 10 o'clock yet? It's been my whole morning.
Oh, you're so kind. I am so excited to hear about, let's start with the Phoenix, because the Phoenix is obviously a mythical creature, a very strong, and for a lot of people in my generation, very tied to Harry Potter. But so why the Phoenix? What does it mean to you? Talk me through that.
So it was funny. So I had what I call the trifecta of unfortunate events happen in 2020, besides COVID. July 11th, I broke my wrist in 3 places. August 27th, I got fired from my job that that was my identity, was my job. And then September 15th, Hurricane Sally came along and I had 3.5 feet of water in my house and I lost everything that I owned. And each one of those events would have the tendency to rock someone's world. When you put them all together within a 90-day period, not even a 90-day period, it really sends you spinning. And having 31 years of sobriety, I have risen from the ashes multiple times. And when I started this company, everybody's like, oh, you should do the lotus. Oh, the lotus, you rise from the mud. And I'm thinking in the back of my brain, I'm like, does this face look like she likes mud? I don't even wear a mask at night of mud. So no. Then I started thinking, and I love the Harry Potter reference because Phoenix tears are healing. And in those 90 days, I can't even tell you how many tears I cried. And I can't tell you how many cuss words I said. And I can't tell you how far down in the ashes I felt. And in that moment, I knew that I had a choice. I could either be bitter or I could get better. And I chose to get better. And I chose to rise. And for me, the flames of a phoenix, they're not there to burn you. They're there to burn away everything that you're not. And in that moment, I got to rediscover who I was before all the people said, oh, Julie, you're an educator. Julie, you're a hairstylist. Julie, you're a mom. Julie, you're a grandma. It got down to be, well, Julie, who are you? And so the Phoenix really resonated with me because it truly burned away everything that I wasn't. And it's been a painful process. It's coming up on the, it's been the year anniversary since I broke my wrist. It's coming up on the year anniversary of losing my job, and it's coming up on the year anniversary of Sally. And each one of them, and what's really funny is that my sobriety birthday, so I was fired on August 27th. My sobriety birthday is August 29th. So it's like I hit 30 years of sobriety 2 days after I got fired. I thought that was a pretty big damn accomplishment.
Yeah, I think that's a couple chips. Yeah.
Right. I was like, can I get double chips on that? Because I just got fired from my job and I didn't go dive into my disease. So I was pretty damn proud of myself.
You should be. That's like trophy worthy for sure. So this is all real fresh.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because when I started this business, I started it, I love the universe. There are no coincidences. There are no happy accidents. I had entered a contest. I don't even know how I found this person. They just showed up on my feed one day and there was a contest. Go live for a week, talk about gratitude each day, do a different subject. And then they were going to pick a winner. And when you won, they were going to help you pick a brand and do this and do that and do all the other things. Well, I happened to win. I was going live in the middle of Sally. Like I went live in the middle of the hurricane, and that's might have what happened because I was standing on my front porch. I was like, this is the hurricane. Ooh, it got worse. So anyhow, I actually won. And that person led me to another person who led me to another person that helped me develop this brand. And it just has encompassed my life. And it's amazing. I just, every day I wake up and it's terrifying because it's a brand new business. There's, it's terrifying, but at the same time, it's when it's your life's calling, it pulls you. I'm not running away from the pain of, oh my God, I don't want this anymore. It's the dream is calling me. And it's like, I don't care what I have to do. I'm just going to do it to get to it.
I love that. I resonate a lot with that. As you're working with folks in your coaching kind of thing, what does that look like? What kind of work do you do with folks?
So when I first started, I did courses. Like I had a course, Be the Phoenix of Your Own Life. It was a 6-week course where each week we discovered, like the first week was universal nudges and how to recognize them. And then it was, there is no birth without blood. And then we talked about how, rising and coming back and all of the different things. So it was a 6-week course. And it's just evolved because through that, I discovered NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And I love your beginning because you talk about change and we can wake up and say, oh, I want to change today. But if we haven't dealt with the internal, with the traumas and the stressors and all of those different things, change isn't going to last. So I knew that the path that I was taking in healing those traumas and watching it happen in my own life, I was like, yeah, it just kept calling. And every single time it's just like these little breadcrumbs and I just keep following them. And it's just this dance of magic in my life. So I work with women who feel stuck, procrastination, self-doubt, low self-esteem, trauma, PTSD. Those are the things that I work with to be able to show them that you are a beautiful, divine, just bunch of stardust wrapped up in a meat sack. And we just gotta go through that to find your spark again and to be able to help you discover who you were before everybody told you who you quote unquote should be.
Yeah. And help me understand where the NLP comes into this and how you use it with your clients and what that kind of looks like for you.
So NLP, if people aren't familiar with it, it's neuro-linguistic programming. And so there are ways that you can actually rewire the brain. One of my favorite examples is like, Kristen, you and I can go to a movie. right? And you're going to see the movie and you're going to be like, oh my God, Julie, that was like the best movie ever. And I'm walking out going, what the hell did we just watch? What was that? That was horrible. So when you think about the past and you think about truth and you think about those things, it truly is about perception. And so if you can rewire the brain and rewire the perception of the events that happened, then it helps you to be able to see the event. And it's really about your unconscious mind stores all of your life experiences. And there's this thing called a Gestalt Matrix of where when you are small and somebody hurts you, it just goes, I call it in the septic. Well, I don't know if I can say the word, the shit pit, but it kind of goes in that bucket in your brain. And it just keeps building and building and building. And what I do is I help to open it up and empty it out. So you just kind of empty the pot, and that way you can look at your life from a different way and overcome those tragedies and look at them as things that happen for you and not things that happen to you.
Yeah, it's so important to understand perspective and context. And that when I talk a lot about trauma, I talk about holding the trauma of others instead of judging it against your own or against global context, and just understanding that everybody's trauma is their own trauma, and that's it. And so whenever people are like, I think we use trauma too much, I was like, I actually don't think we use it enough. I just think we use it wrong. So, yeah. You know, and I understand, you know, some of what people are saying with that, but I can chase that rabbit hole forever. But what I think is really interesting about what you said is this idea that we are never not our past unless we choose to be. So there's an inevitability that our lives will be shaped by everything we've already been, unless we put a pin in it and go, nope, I get to be something different. And so it's interesting to me that you choose the Phoenix, because so much of that is like, it's almost, the destruction was against their consent, but the rising is entirely their consent. And that really key part of the Lotus is wrong. I'm glad you went with Phoenix, because it doesn't, it's just, you need more agency for what you are doing than simply growing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, what you said is so important. And as women, one of the examples I use with my clients is, you know, they're so worried about everything that is out here. And if you think about it, when you were a little girl, what's the first toy that somebody gave you? A doll. And what did they tell you? Now, don't get me wrong, as moms, I'm a mom and I'm a grandmother. We tell our children, take care of the doll, take care of the baby, take care of the baby. So instantly when you're a child, you're automatically being programmed and conditioned to take care of something that's outside of you. And as you grow up, if you're in a toxic environment, then you're taking care of your siblings. Sometimes you're taking care of your parents. You're taking care of your friends. So especially as women, we are taught how to take care of everything that is external, but we are never, ever taught how to take care of what lives inside of us and our internal. And when you said we compare traumas, that is a huge thing for me, because we as women tend to be like, oh, well, you know, she lost all her stuff in her hurricane and I just had this happen. And we downplay our traumas, and it's not a contest. It's not a trauma contest. It's not oh my gosh, your trauma was so much worse than mine, so I'm just going to stuff mine inside. It's realizing and looking at it and saying, okay, this is what happened in my life. How can I use this to make me a better person? How can I use this to elevate society around me? And how can I use this to help myself grow and to teach the next generation how to grow? It's not about what, I was just watching an interview this morning, and this lady goes, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And I thought, oh, we have to stop asking our children what they want to be and ask them what they want to do. Because your being and your doing are totally separate. And I think if we started asking children, how do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be kind. I want to be generous. I want to be loving. I want to help the world. I want to be a better person. And how are you going to do that?
I think that's such a key thing. It's interesting as you were talking about trauma, because as the viewers are watching this, back in the middle of October, I gave my second TEDx talk about stopping trying to win the suffering Olympics. And like, that essentially, you know, trauma is not interchangeable, and not comparable. And we have to learn to sit with that. And then kind of, so I've been, as you and I are talking right now in August, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about trauma and a lot of time thinking about the traumas that we carry and kind of what we do, and trying to get 3 hours of an idea into a 10-minute talk. And I love that carrying on from that was this idea of the trauma of the combination of being and doing. And that when we have married those two, we perpetuate constant trauma upon ourselves, not understanding the difference between being a human doing and a human being.
Yes, absolutely. I think that was one of the biggest realizations that we had. And there was like this saying, and I don't even remember where I saw it, but it was a teacher asked a student, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, happy. And the teacher said, I don't think you understand the lesson. And the student said, I don't think you understand life. And to me, that was such a revelation. And I thought, you know what? It's so true. And then Brene Brown is one of my favorites. And then what happens is we get into the shame, and then we sit in the arena, and we're not in the arena. We're still sitting up in the stands judging, and most of the time judging ourselves, until we get in the arena and say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. I need to be who I am. And I've lost lots of friends this last year. I've lost friends. I've lost family. I've lost people that I thought were going to be in my corner for the rest of my life. And there's a grieving process, and I don't downplay it at all. And I think that there's a big misconception in the coaching industry of these coaches that you see the highlight reel. I want people to see what's going on in my life, because I see these coaches, and nothing knocking them, they're doing phenomenal work. But when I started this coaching industry, I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. And so for me, I want to disrupt the industry and show a different way of being able to empower people and empower women to really reclaim who they are.
I love that. That's so great. Changing subjects just a little bit. What is something about this job that has surprised you?
Well, one thing you'll learn about me, Kristen, is I don't sugarcoat much of anything. I find it highly amusing, and I find it kind of sad that I've been in different groups with these coaches, and you see their highlight reels, and then you're in these groups with them and they're talking and you're watching them, and I'm thinking to myself, I feel like I'm in the Wizard of Oz, and I just got the curtain pulled back, and I'm looking at this great and powerful wizard, and all it is a human being with a big microphone. And it has been eye-opening. So for me, I don't ever want anybody to think that I'm hiding behind a curtain with a big microphone. I'm just going to stand out front. And basically, I'm handing you a knife and trusting that you're not going to stab me with it. And if you do, I have the tools to heal myself. So it's okay.
Yeah, I think we talk a lot in these days, in not just in coaching spaces, but in, you know, business spaces, that the rise of social media has allowed for a new kind of celebrity. And it's not just influencers, it's also the names of business these days, you know, that people just quote as though everybody has read them, everybody follows them, the one for me that everybody always references is Amy Butterfield. And I'm like, I don't know who that is.
I'm like,
I was like, and they're like, well, you know her. And I'm like, I don't though.
I don't. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah. And they're great. So Amy Butterfield's a social media person, and Marie Forleo is a business coach and does a thing called B School that a lot of people have found a lot of value in. And one of the things is that then you follow other people in the group and you become your own echo chamber, that then of course everybody knows this world because I know this world. And I love this idea of just saying, actually, we're all humans. We're all human persons. This person has a little bit more of expertise in this. This person has more expertise in this. Let's smash us all together and figure it out. And I think we need, one of my hopes for COVID, for, you know, the 2021 and onwards, I refuse to say post-COVID because it'll never be over.
No.
But one of the things I hope for this kind of new world order is that we'll all be a little bit rougher around the edges, and we'll all understand vulnerability and realness. And I know we're in the middle of a lot of supply chain drama with my manufacturing company. And we just looked at each other today and said, but we have no, like, this company that we've been working with for 20 years could have lost the entire ownership family. We don't know. Like,
Yep.
we have to just hold each other's grief in a different way. And I really hope that that teaches us some profound lessons about how to not be the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, and I think that that's the biggest lesson throughout this, is really understanding that we don't know what happened 5 seconds before this person saw you.
No.
And I was a hairstylist and an educator for a long time, and I would teach my stylists that, listen, when that person walks through the door and they rip your head off, has nothing to do with you. They could have found out that their husband cheated, their dog died, that their kid has some terminal disease, something happened, they lost their, you never know what's happening in someone's life. So before you react, pause, take that breath, and understand that it isn't directed at you. You just happen to be the first and closest person that they could unleash on. So take that breath and see them as a fellow human being, and understand that there's a bunch of stuff going on. And especially with everything that's going on with COVID, you don't know what is happening. And we are so quick to judge. We are so quick to say, well, blah, 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 blah. I mean, Simone Biles is a perfect example. She's damned if she performs and doesn't get a medal, like, oh, she should have been better. But then she's damned if she takes time out for her mental health. Either way, no matter what, people are going to judge her. And I think that that's a huge lesson for us, is that no matter what, somebody's going to judge you for something. So you might as well live as authentically as possible, and to be able to say, this is who I am. Your approval is not necessary, and your opinion of me is really none of my business.
Yep. And that is an absolutely beautiful place to end our conversation, because that is something that we talk a lot about here. And I love that you brought that into, in Clubhouse parlance, that you brought that into this space, and that you raised that, because we always need to remember that everybody is fighting battles we are unaware of. And I respect that Plato said that everyone's fighting harder battles, but I don't like categorization. We're all fighting battles we don't know about. And that's a really important thing. My gracious, Julie, thank you so much for a powerful conversation and for joining me today. I really am so glad you're in this space for the women that you're working with. I think you're the perfect voice for such a time as this. And I'm really, really grateful. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. And this came to me, and I have to share this. We're all in the same storm. It's not that we're in different storms. We're all in the same storm. Just some of us have yachts, some of us have rowboats, some of us have dinghies, and some of us just have life preservers. So still the same storm. We can't judge someone else just because they have a life vest and somebody else has got a yacht.
Very true. It's time to pull as many people onto the yacht as possible.
Exactly.
For sure. Well, my gracious, that's a whole other conversation that we will have another time. So everybody, if you liked this conversation, please hit the thumbs up. The YouTube algorithm is really obsessed with it. And if you like the conversations like this one that are sprawling and about life stuff and the grit of it all, subscribe to my channel, because we have a ton of those kind of conversations all the time, both myself and my other good doctor, Dr. Erin Hinson, as we help you get curious about culture, both popped and lived, and help you figure out how it helps you live a fuller and deeper and richer life. This has been Welcome to My World. My guest today has been Julie Paulston. I'm Dr. Kristen Donnelly, and I'll see you next time. Bye.